right, everyone, so today, first trading day of 2025, and I'm breaking the ice with a green trade, which is great. We had breaking news on a stock, and it squeezed up immediately, 100%, boom, $12,000, green on the day. My work is done. Now, the only thing that kind of tarnished that nice trade was that prior to that, my first trade, small green trade, and my second trade was a big losing trade. So I went into the red. Well, not a big losing trade. I guess it's all relative, but I went red today before rallying back into the green. I didn't go below my max loss, which is good, but that was not the greatest start to the day. And one of the challenges today was that I had a hard time figuring out what was obvious. There were a bunch of stocks moving. A lot of them were cheaper, sort of dispersed attention, not a lot of clear catalysts. So we'll talk about that as I get into the recap. Reminder, we've got our New Year's sales still going on, but they are ending soon. So if you want to spend 2025 learning how to trade and you don't want to do it alone, you want to watch me trade every single day, you can join our Warrior Pro special bundle. You'll get 3 years of access to my curriculum, a full year of access to my live stream and my chat room, and 90 days of access to Day Trade Dash, my charting, scanning, newsfeed platform, and 90 days of access to a trading simulator so you can practice trading using the tools I use every day and in a safe environment while you're learning the strategy. So this is a great way to start the new year. New year, new you, and let's focus this year on discipline, being patient. So today, once I had those first couple tricky trades and I was red, I said, you just have to wait. There will be an opportunity. The market's been hot. You just have to be patient. And so I sat on the sidelines. There were other stocks that popped up, did full round trips. I didn't get caught in chop. I didn't lose money on those. Now, ordinarily I might have, but I said, slow down. Just focus on setups that meet your criteria from price, float, volume, moving quickly. And right now, prefer news. If we don't have it, I can work with that because we've, in a hot market, but really try to stay focused on A quality, and that is what got me to 2 times the daily goal. So let's go ahead and jump into today's recap. All right, so we're gonna go over the trades from today. P&L looks pretty good, $12,093.56, but it wasn't that easy. Today was a little bit of a tricky day, and you can see the loss on OST, $4,000 loss. I went into the red today before rallying back into the green. So this is another example of a day where, of course, I start early. My stream begins at around 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So sitting down at 7 a.m. and I took the first couple trades. First trade was on AEI right at 7 a.m. I was up $850 on it. And then turned around and took 2 trades on OST. Both of them were losers. And so I went down like 3,000 on the day. So that was all by like 7:30. I was down 3,000 on the day. So, it's like, all right, not great, but on the other hand, it's still early. And that's where I sort of had this confidence that, yes, I'm in the red, but it's early enough in the day that I still have a lot of time to make a recovery. And I'm not below max loss or in a place that's, really, really bad. I just, I'm kind of, I'm in the red, but it's tolerable. So let's look at that first trade. So when I sat down this morning, kind of one of the first issues that I had was trying to figure out which stock was obvious for today. Now, AEI, this was our leading gainer at the time this morning, and it was the first stock I traded, and you can see right there at 7 a.m. that burst of volume. So that's actually where I traded it. Now, it's a red candle, but I still made money on it, $852, not bad. So if I show you the chart on this one, what happened on it was, basically, it had started this move on Tuesday, kind of moving up. Then, of course, market was closed yesterday, Wednesday. And now today, Thursday, it rallied up pre-market early, around 4:30 in the morning, pulls back, and coming into 7 a.m., it was sort of making another attempt, and I was watching this for a squeeze up to the highs. So I was a little slow in jumping in it. It started squeezing just before the top of the hour, and I was like, I don't know if I want to get in this before 7 a.m. I'm not sure if that's going to work so well. So I took this trade right there. So it was right at 7 a.m. right here where all this volume came in, but you can see it kind of squeezed up just before 7 a.m. Anyways, I got in right there, got a little trade. I think that was 10,000 shares, maybe 15,000. So from 72 up to a high of 88. All right, that's something. Sells off, whatever. Now, this is also a good example of where being willing to take small profits improves your accuracy. So here, this was a winner. Now, someone who is looking for a big trade, a squeeze up to 350 or 4, who's adding to it, this would have been a losing trade. It ended up being a red candle on the 1 minute. It didn't hold up. But for a trader like myself, willing to just take that small gain off the table, it's a winner. Now, part of my reason for doing that is because, look, first trading day of the new year, let's not try to be a hero. It's just about building a cushion. I'm still in the mentality of trading for income, even though I'm trading in my retirement account. So I'm not actually, it's my retirement account. It's growing. It's tax free, which is fantastic. I'm not able to take the money out every single day that I make profit and spend it. But I still have this mentality that I want every day, as much as possible, to be a green day. I want to try to be consistent. I don't want to overstay my welcome. So anyway, so we've got this move on AEI here. I book the profit and I say, yep, all right, great. Now, if it gives me another opportunity, I'm happy to get back in. The reason that I got out of this is because as it popped up here right away, big sellers on the ask. So when I see big sellers like that, I'm thinking, all right, well, yes, there's buying volume, but we're already seeing people who are trying to unload, and these are big orders. Are we really going to be able to break through that level? And I just didn't think we could. And when I started seeing red on the tape, on the actual time and sales, which is this feed right here, that's when I said, look, I'm already seeing other people starting to sell. I better just get out of the way and let it be that. Now, sometimes I'll get out and then it'll come back up and I get back in. And that's okay. But anyways, for this one, I got out and then that was it. So one trade on AEI breaks the ice 7 a.m. So it was actually, so 7 a.m. and 1 second was when I took those trades. So it was like right at the top of the hour. All right. So then the next stock that I traded was OST. Now, OST's the one that I'm red on, and this was at 7:11. So 11 minutes later, 10 minutes later, whatever, OST pops up. And when it first pops up, I was sort of like, I wasn't really sure what to think because I looked at the chart. I saw that at 6 a.m., right at 7 it had popped, pulled back, and then it came up again right here. So as it came up right here, I got in at $4. Got in at 4. It pops up to a high here of 441, and I added. Now, I could have just taken the small base hit off the table, but on this one I added. And the reason I added is because it was up 10% within seconds. And from my initial entry at 4, on those initial shares that I bought, I was already up 10%. So now I'm like, okay, wow, this might have the potential of giving us a big move. The float on it, 700,000 shares. Lower float stock. Now, some of you will say, Ross, why are you trading these stocks with no news? Now, here's the way that I think about this. If you've gone through certainly my classes or you've seen some of my other episodes, I break down the 5 criteria for stock selection: price, float, how much it's up on the day, breaking news, and the relative volume. And so some of you are like, Ross, you're forgetting about breaking news. What are you doing here? The thing with the news is that, yes, for an A quality setup, A quality, we're going to have a catalyst. But there are going to be a lot of times where we have stocks that are moving, like some of these today, that don't have news. And now I've got to make the decision, do I just draw the line and say if there's no news, I'm not going to trade it? Well, what about when GameStop went up, to $500 a share? What was the news on GameStop? It's kind of ambiguous what the headline was. It wasn't really a headline. It obviously had momentum. So the way that I think about it is if a stock is moving, then that clearly tells me people are trading it. If it's got the high volume, if it's active, people are interested in it. And I don't know, maybe it's shorts that are getting squeezed. Maybe there's some institutional trader out there that's accumulating a big position. We don't know the catalyst, but clearly we've got the volume and the volatility. And some traders on these who get stubborn and say, oh, it's got no news, I'm going to start shorting it, they get squeezed out. And all of a sudden this thing ends up going, higher and higher and higher. So you can actually get some really big moves at times on stocks that have no news. It doesn't make sense that it's up, and that by itself kind of creates the perfect storm for a short squeeze because it stays high and it keeps going higher. So yes, I generally would prefer to have news. Trading stocks every day that have no news, how can we expect them to hold up? And a lot of times they won't hold up. But we're in a hotter market right now, and so I'm willing to loosen that news criteria. SPCB, I see this one hitting the scans here. Ended up not taking trades on it earlier. It popped up here a little before the open. It gave back the entire move, and then now it's rallying up. Has news on it, but I just wasn't sure whether or not I could trust it. I was looking at the 5-minute chart and noticed that it had made this big move the other day and then gave it back. So I said, if it can hold over 650, I'm interested. And in fact, it was able to do that. It took a second, but it was. If we look at the level 2 on this one, SPCB, you'll see that it's jumping around a little bit. You know, this time of day can be a little tricky. You can see some good momentum, but it can also be a little whippy. You'll see these sort of pops. Like the price is moving, but not on a lot of volume. And that's the thing that's a little weird, is that it makes it hard to get in and out, because suddenly the price is up 20 cents or it's down 20 cents. But if you were actually trying to move in and out with 15, 20,000 shares, it's like, could I have even gotten filled? So now it goes up to 802, right? And then back to 78 in an instant, down 20 cents. Now back up to 810. So like the liquidity is just a little funny on this. And now back down to 780. So sometimes it feels like it's an illusion of strength, but when it's on really light volume and it's not super liquid and it's jumping around like that, it's just not easy to trade. So anyways, maybe it keeps going, but so OST. So OST, no news on it. Now it did end up actually having a news headline that came out at 8:30, but nonetheless, early when I was trading it, there was no clear news headline. So it ends up popping up, and I get in right here, and on this trade, I'm in, and it drops all the way to 320. I'm down almost $1 a share, and it happened real quick, kind of like what I just showed you. All of a sudden, in 10 seconds, it drops that much, and I'm down $1 a share, and I'm like, wow, this is a really bad start to the year. Not good. And I don't know why I didn't just bail. I think kind of what happened here was, all of a sudden it was at 4, and I was like, okay, that's not bad. And then like a second later, it's at 440, and I'm like, okay, we're at the $0.50, and I added at 450, and then it does a candle wick down to 320. 350, 320, and then all of a sudden it rips back up here to 411, and I was like, get out, and I got out as it came back up. But I added back, and I added back actually on a dip right down here. So it hits a high of 6, then it dips down here, and I added right at 475, and a second later it drops $1 a share, and so I still ended up losing on it. And so I lost 400 on the first trade, and then it goes without me, and then I get back in on a dip, and I lose 4,000 on the second trade, or 3,500. So, all right. So then I'm like, wow, okay, that's not good. So it tries to curl up a little bit later, but I don't get back in. I just accept that was that, and disappointing. And so that was all at about 7:15, 7:20. So then I'm sitting here, HOLO pops up, got a tiny little trade on that, as you can see here, nothing notable. I wasn't really that into it, but it did start to pull away, and that was in this area right here. So I got a tiny trade on that. And then I'm just sitting here waiting, and all of a sudden XPON, boom, has breaking news. It's at 8:30, bottom of the hour, and as soon as that news hits, the stock hits the scanners, it starts popping up. I pull it up, I see the float's under 1 million shares, and it's moving fast, and it's at 8:30, so I know that it's moving because it has news, and I jumped in pretty quickly. So it goes from 260 up to 3, up to 320, and I took a starter at 325. Immediately it goes to 350, I'm up 10%. I add at 350, immediately goes to 4. I add at 4, and it goes up to 440 right here. Then it pulls back, dips down, and during this little dip area, I got another trade. We got this break right here of about 370, a curl up to 4, pulls back, got the break of 4, a curl back to 440, pull back up to 450, double top. And that was where I stopped trading it right there. It did sort of try to come back up again at the open, but I didn't trade it again. So I squeezed as much as I could out of that little range. And there wasn't a lot to work with right in here. I mean, really, it was popped up, dropped down, back up. But I squeezed as much as I could out of it. I got green on it. and flipped from, red on the day to 2 times the daily goal, which is good. So very pleased with that. And in terms of daily goal, as of right now, haven't changed it for the year, just keeping it as what it's been, 5K a day. And, it's something I've been thinking about. And when someone on YouTube in the comments noted, Ross, what about looking at your, daily average for like the last 30 days and using that as your daily goal and using that as your max loss? And I don't think it's a bad idea, but that number's quite large. And so today I'm only at not even halfway to that number. Does it really make sense for me to keep trading today to try to hit what has been my daily average for the last 30 days? I don't think that that's really a good idea. The problem is, last month I had a couple of fantastic days. This was an amazing day right here. There were a few others, and those obviously massively boost my average. But I also had days where I was lower, and, there's not much that I can do. I mean, I kind of feel like it's out of my control. Like if there's really good opportunities, I'll trade them and I'll be aggressive. And I am thinking, yeah, this is definitely a market where I can far exceed my daily goal on a good day. But I don't want to get too fixated on a certain number. I think that that's kind of the wrong idea. I think it's better just to focus on, trading the market I'm in. If it's hot, be aggressive. If it cools off, then all right, look, it's cooling off. Cool down a little bit today. I could have maybe traded a little bit more on SPCB, but I just didn't feel like it was the right move. And I knew as I got closer to the end of my window that if I didn't lock up the profit, I'd risk overstaying my welcome. So anyway, so this is where I sit right here today. Those of you guys who have not already checked out our sales here at Warrior Trading, we've got some sales for the new year going on right now. So if you come over to the Join Now button, you'll see the discounts on the Starter, the Pro, and our Pro Special Bundle, which will give you a year of access to my broadcast. You'll get 3 years of access to the classes, and then a year of access to my daily stream, which is nice. A year of access to the stream and the chat, 90 days of access to Day Trade Dash, 90 days of access to a trading simulator that you can use every single day. Because I want you guys to practice in a safe environment before you put real money on the line. Now, of course, also at this time of the day, we have halt levels, right? So we're dealing with halts, these pops, the drops. So anyways, I think the easiest trades for me today are behind me. And so with that, I'm going to shut it down and live to trade another day. I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. My stream will start at around 7 a.m. And hopefully we see some good action. All right, so that's it for me. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. And a reminder, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you back here first thing tomorrow morning.